Hello, it's Monday, June 10th, 2019, and as of this recording, I'm still depressed, but I'm not dead. So we're a week away, 2 weeks away from closing on our house in the next town over of Holly Springs, and I guess it would be exciting if I were one to get excited or really show emotion of any kind. Um, I know Nora is pretty excited about it, and the kids are just what they are, really. They're more excited about the potential internet that we could have at the new home than anything else. But yeah, so yeah, that's coming up, and like I said, I'm not really excited. I'm not um, disappointed or down about it, but um, as it goes, I don't really display emotion that regularly. And so, yeah, it's coming up 2 weeks, actually the 26th, so just over 2 weeks. We close, and then that following weekend, we move, and all the fun and excitement that comes with that. So, yeah, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a sucky intro, but there it is. New house on the way. Brand new house. I don't know if I mentioned that. Maybe I did. New construction, so hopefully none of the pitfalls of purchasing a lived-in home. But lots of other things have come up. It's really pricey to build a new home, and have to furnish it with things like window coverings and stuff like that. So yeah, that's enough about that. I don't know. Let's get on with the show. So I had originally this podcast is coming out kind of soon, early on the heels of the last one. But I am taking my girls up to Michigan on Wednesday. So I had a busy day of work today. I'll have a busy day of work tomorrow, as well as the inspection on the house. And then I have to drive to Charlotte, spend the night at their house, and get up bright and early Wednesday morning and drive up. And I don't know that I'll have much time in the way of podcasting time. So I thought I would put an episode out, and I had originally thought about talking about my homework that I got from Kara at therapy just last week, and something else has come up that I wanted to talk about, but I'll talk about the homework real quick. So we got into, I had the challenge of homework before of trying to come up with who I want to be. And that was very difficult for me, and I don't know that I came up with anything. And I brought up with Kara, we talked about that egoism that I think I brought up on the last episode. I must have fear of sounding narcissistic. Yep, there it is. And we talked about that for a little bit. And what she challenged me for my homework was to work on positive affirmations. And if you remember, I did a whole episode on how I hated platitudes and positive affirmations. And so this is a tricky one for me. In fact, she had me in therapy. I had to look her in the eyes and repeat the phrase, "I am a good husband," until she told me to stop, which turned out was like 5 times. Geez, did I talk about this? I feel like I've talked about this. I don't know how though. But yeah, and that was terribly uncomfortable. And oh, I know, I blogged about this over at jamoalki.info. I have been putting some stuff up for the blog, so check it out if you're so interested. But yeah, it was terribly uncomfortable, and I felt so amazingly insincere saying it, which made it difficult. And then after like the second time I said it, I just felt silly. Um, and that made it more difficult to continue on. But I did it 5 or 6 times, like I said. Um, and she asked me how I felt about it afterwards, and I was just that. Um, I felt like I was lying, and um, I don't like to do that, and so it was very difficult. And then once it got silly, it was just, I don't know. It was a weird kind of meld of those two feelings of feeling disingenuous and feeling silly. Uh, so what we further went on to talk about was how she thinks it would be a good idea for me to work on positive affirmations. And I told her, how much I really don't like them, and how kind of insincere I would feel doing those kind of things. And she understood and said that that it might be valuable just to go through the exercise of doing so. That if it's we're starting from ground zero, right? With like not admiring, not liking anything about myself. So we have to start somewhere. And if I'm not willing or able to come up with at least one thing that I do like about myself, we have to start somewhere. And so we're going to start with just going through the motions and kind of building repetition of, hey, I am a good dad. Hey, I am whatever. I'm a good partner, a good husband, whatever. And so this was Thursday that this was given to me, and I haven't done any of it yet. I just haven't. I don't know. I don't think about it. And you know what? I've been doing a bit of walking lately, as usual, and I've tried to, sometimes while I'm walking, I'll get this little wave of feeling good. And, for whatever reason, if it's, a funny thing happens on a podcast I'm listening to, or just music I happen to be listening to. And, I try to jump on those moments and think of, hey, okay, you're feeling pretty good. You feel able, competent. So let's try to think right now. This is the time to come up with something that you like. And as soon as I do that, I think, if that egoism is a real thing, then that kind of takes over. And even within my own head, I don't want to sound as if I'm full of myself, as if I think I'm all that. And maybe that's just because I believe that I'm not, and it sounds wrong, or maybe it's something in my upbringing. I don't know. I think, I don't know if I mentioned this before growing up. I think I have, but Larry Bird, NBA player, was my hero. And he was a very humble kind of outward persona to the media and to fans for the most part. Like, hey, we just got to get down to work. We got to, didn't rest on any kind of laurels of being, voted the most valuable player in the league, things like that. And I kind of identified with that, and sometimes I think that's how I'm being, is just humble, and to a fault, I guess. And so I don't know. So this homework is kind of tricky. It's tough. I've kind of clued Nora in on it, and she gave me a few things, that she thinks that are positives that I bring to the world, I guess. specifically to her sphere of the world that she's aware of. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I have to do it. I mean, I'm committed to doing these things. Um, but yeah, I don't know. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I think this is similar to another kind of brief discussion that I had the last time something like this came up. Um, but I got a call yesterday morning, 6 a.m., from my brother, and I didn't answer it because I was, you know, half asleep, and what could he possibly have to say at 6 a.m.? And he followed that up with a text message that just said 911, and I was like, oh crap, okay. So I got up, I went in, we have a closet on the other side of the bathroom, so I went through the bathroom and then into the closet and shut both doors so as not to wake up Nora. And what he told me was that the night before, Dad had fallen in the bathroom and was at the hospital now, unconscious and with a bleed in his a cranial bleed, so a brain bleed. And he didn't. That's all he really knew. Mom had called him, a couple hours before that from the hospital, and that was all he knew. And here's my dad going to be 82 this year, and oh my gosh, what's going on? So he said he'd let me know later when he got to the hospital, and I didn't know what to do. Had gotten up. I wasn't they're 14 hours away, and I've got work and family, and the days are gone when I can just pick up and rush to wherever I'm needed like that. So I went and I walked and got bagels because that was my plan for the morning. And I got another phone call while I was walking, and another phone call after that, kind of small little updates. And I was trying to just process information, and my mind kind of immediately, as I was walking after just the first phone call, my mind started going to, okay, this doesn't sound good. Is this kind of the last stages for Dad's life, and what does that mean for those of us who are still here? And I'm starting to think about Nora and I had talked about my mom coming to live with us, and what does that look like, and the house up in Michigan and all the stuff that they own, and how does my brother fit into this? Is what is his wants and desires? And just because Nora and I would open our house to my mom doesn't mean that she would accept, right? And so I'm thinking about all these different things, and geez, what can we afford to sell our house within a year and get a bigger house? What all these whats? And so a couple hours went by, and I walked back home. And Nora had just woken up, and I came into the bedroom and told her what was going on, and she was first to point it out, and I hadn't really paid attention to it, but she asked me, like, what do I feel about all this? And it was pretty apparent that I didn't feel anything about this. I didn't feel sadness. I didn't feel worry, anything. And kind of like when I opened up there, true to my form, that I don't have emotions about things, and or at least I guess I don't express emotions. I don't live the emotion. So if I'm repressing it, or if it just doesn't exist, I don't know. And yeah, I mean, I don't I mean, I was mentally preparing myself to like not be able to speak to dad again, right? Just the way it all sounded, and fell, hit his head, brain hemorrhaging, unconscious, all these things, and it has since come up that um, he maybe wasn't unconscious from the time he fell, and he maybe didn't hit his head, although that's unclear. But when he got to the hospital, his oxygen levels were kind of down, so they put a breathing tube in and medically put him under, just because of the not trauma is not the word I want to use, but the experience of having a breathing tube is not all that wonderful, I imagine, when you're conscious. So later in the day, they took the tube out, and he came conscious. He's now since, my mom's been back up to visit him today. My brother's been there. He's talking. His color looks pretty good. That's all I really know right now. I haven't heard that much. I got a couple text messages. So, things are sounding better. And so I'm hopeful when I get up there Wednesday that, maybe he'll even be back home by then, and that would be great. So yeah, me again, JP, with no feelings, no nothing. Kind of a traumatic experience, that in its own right, in the end, is still a traumatic experience, but it sounded much worse from the get-go, and I had no emotional response to that, and I still don't know what that means, and I'm not going to get back to therapy until next week sometime. I can't remember, Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday maybe. So, I kind of want to get Kara's input on that. I just don't know what that means, and I mean, my first thought is it means, that I'm a terrible person. So there's, how's that for positive affirmations? So I don't know. I'm open to hearing from you all what you think. I don't know. I kind of thought that with my improved mood, that seems to be, getting marginally better every day, that I'd start to experience some of these things, and I'm just not. So yeah, I don't know. There it is. I'm kind of rambling now. I'm not sure what else I have to talk about right now. So yeah, go ahead, check out the blog if you're so inclined. I got an interesting email from someone who wants me to, it's a organization that wants me to talk about them or interview them or pass on information, and I'm not real sure about them yet. So I'm not sure why I'm telling you guys this, so there it is. Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to fill space, so I'm gonna quit that and remind you that jamoalki all over the internet, JAMOALKI, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, website jamoalki.info. You can text me at 248-648-1419. Email me on Gmail, jamoalki@gmail.com. I love hearing from everybody. It's fantastic. And I hope you're all doing well. I hope everybody is enjoying spring into almost summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. And yeah, let me put on another call. If you'd like to share your story on the podcast, I would love that. I know others would love to hear it, and I know others would benefit from hearing it. Think about it. Let me know. Maybe we can work something out. Yeah. Oh, and lastly, Give a 5-star review or leave a rating review. I don't know. You know what I mean. On iTunes and help others find the show. That would be wonderful. I'd appreciate it. And I'm sure those who stumble across the show thanks to your review and rating would thank you for it as well. So there it is. Ramble, ramble. Everybody be safe and be well.